If you order a cheap translation, when it's cheap, you don't have the quality. So if it's not all right, you might need to hire a translator after that, and it can cost a lot of money.
Hi, I'm Lucy, and you're listening to Creator Talks, a Mediaforte podcast. Mediaforte is a marketplace for highly specialised content creators all around the world. Each episode, we interview one of the creators from the Mediaforte network and dig into their craft.
Today we're joined by Isabelle, a freelance translator and proofreader based in Paris.
Creator Talks by Mediaforte. Mediaforte, the marketplace for highly specialised content creators around the world.
Welcome, Isabelle.
Thank you very much.
You have a multilingual and a multicultural background. Can you describe your family origins?
Yes, so I was born in France from Italian parents. So my mom is from Milan and my dad is from Parma. And so languages have always been a part of my life, especially Italian, since the beginning. And every summer we would go to Italy to meet with family, with friends. So I decided to work with languages very naturally. And I decided to study translation. I was lucky enough to be able to live 4 years in Italy during the course of my studies. So I did a master's degree in literary, technical and scientific translation in Milan. And it was a really great opportunity for me.
Yeah. And how long have you been working in translation?
I've been working in translation for more than 10 years, 14, 15 years now.
15 years. And is that primarily as a freelancer?
As a freelancer, yes.
All the whole time?
The whole time, yes.
And what sort of topics are you a specialist in, if any in particular?
So I'm specialized in tourism, in marketing, in literature too, because I translate books for kids. And also cosmetics, and I do other types of documents too.
And just out of curiosity, what's the strangest thing you've had to translate?
The strangest thing I had to translate. So when I began in the translation industry, I also did some subtitling. But one of the strangest things I had to translate was a small video about how to smoke weed. So it was really, really strange to translate that.
How unusual.
Yeah, very unusual.
I imagine cinema and television must be a really interesting area to work in.
Yes.
Does that come up very often?
It's a really interesting job, but the deadlines were really tight and we were not paid well. So it was a really stressful job. And so I decided to stop doing it. But I think it's a pity because, yes, it can be really interesting.
Yeah, yeah. And so just so that our listeners understand, could you describe what a typical project might look like for you?
Yes, so I mostly work with translation agencies and marketing agencies. So they tend to contact you by email and they send you an email when they have a new project, specifying all the important information, like, for example, the language combination. So from which language to which language you're translating or proofreading the document. Then the word count, the deadline, and the document, of course, because you need to look at it and you need to see that you feel comfortable with that type of document. And sometimes they also send you glossaries or documents with the tone of voice of the company.
Mediaforte, the marketplace for highly specialised content creators around the world.
So I did want to talk a little bit about AI because it is the topic of the day. And I think translation is probably one of the places I noticed it first. I was working on a website and we were doing versions for France and Spain. And we discovered some software which enabled us to translate a lot of the pages of our website. And I think it was the first time I realized this technology was actually going to be very usable. So can you remember when you first realized that artificial intelligence was going to impact your work?
Yes, so it was 2 years ago, in 2023. I had less and less requests. The job offers I could see on the internet were all about MTPE, so machine translation post-editing. So it felt a bit weird, and I understood that, AI was going to be used more and more in that field.
And so that term, machine translation post-editing.
Yes.
And that means we've done a machine translation and we need someone to help us.
Machine translation post-editing, that means that the document is translated by a machine, so by the AI, and then you need a human translator to check it, so to edit it. Yeah.
So you've seen a lot more of those.
For the French language and most of the European languages, yes, you can find only job offers like that. Or offers to train AI, so it's a bit frustrating.
The nature of the jobs has changed, and you must be seeing quite a lot of companies who will translate their content with an AI but use a human proofreader. How do you feel about that?
Honestly, no, it's not the kind of job I'd like to do, because it's a completely different job. It's not translating, it's just proofreading, so it's different, and people might think that it's quicker to proofread an AI, but it's the contrary, because an AI is not consistent. For example, if you have the same term within a document, the AI can translate it in a way at the beginning, in a different way in the middle, and so it's very hard with usually human translators because translation is also about doing research. You have to look for the right term. So when you find it, you stick to it. And if you choose that word should be translated like that, you use it throughout the document. So it's easier.
I can believe that, actually. Sometimes you think it's saving you time, but then I've been using AI a lot for coding. And I thought to begin with, this is great. It's churning out loads of fairly decent code. But then I'll get to a point where I need to fully understand it. And sometimes it takes me so long to pick it apart and go, I see what it's done here and I see what it's done there, that I think 2 hours later, I could have just done it from scratch with my own code. And then I would have understood exactly from A to B why it was doing what it was doing. I think it can be a false economy sometimes.
Yes.
And you will have, I imagine, seen a lot of machine translation, therefore, so far. So could you provide any examples of where the AI translation might not be ideal?
Yeah, sure. For example, I had to translate recently some short stories for kids, and it was an MTPE job. So I didn't have to translate, but to proofread a machine-translated document. And I thought, if it's for kids, it should be easy. It should be quick. But in the end, I realized that the translation was so poor that I had to translate everything from scratch. So I can give you some examples. There's in one of the short stories, there's a character who is humming a song. So in English, it's do. And in French, the version was fais-le. So for people who don't speak French, the machine translated do as the verb to do.
To do.
So, and it even added a little element because fais-le means do it. So
it would have sounded like do it.
Exactly. Yeah. In French, it sounded like that. Yeah. Or another example, for instance, in another short story, there was, so it was a birthday. So you had a cake, of course. And the piece of cake was translated as une pièce de gâteau. So a piece can be translated in various ways in French, but une pièce would be used, for example, for a piece of puzzle. But for a cake, you would use another word, une part de gâteau. So there isn't any consistency with the machine translation. And I've got also another example. I didn't translate it, but I've seen it on the internet. It's on the terms and conditions of a subscription, and you had that section where you have questions and answers. And one of the questions was, will I be charged after the trial? So the context is clear for a human being, but in French, they translated it as serais-je inculpé après le procès? So the machine understood it as a legal context. So will I be legally charged?
Yeah.
Which is very funny, but the AI has many limits, and we can see that with MTP.
That would be quite embarrassing, definitely. But I think as well for things like literature, it seems clear that a machine is not going to be best put to be taking a creative work and moving it into another language and another culture. Do you have any other examples of the kind of work that requires lived experience and cultural nuance?
Yes, so we've talked about translation. There's a specific part of translation which is called localization. So translation consists in converting a text from one language to another one. Localization is broader because you have to take into account cultural nuances, sometimes religious beliefs. For example, just a little example, currencies. You have to convert dollars into euros or pounds into euros. The dates too, for example, in America, you've got the month and then the day. In Europe, it's the opposite. You have to take into account all those details. For instance, a few years ago, I had to proofread a document translated by an AI. And it was for a big company, and it was a private invite to a meeting. So in this document, you had the question, you had the last sentence, which was in English, we hope that you enjoy the meeting. And in French, it was translated as, on espère que tu vas kiffer la réunion. And so there were two big mistakes in this French version. The first one is that in French we have two ways of addressing people. So we have the formal way, which is vous, and the informal way with the pronoun tu. And so in that case, they use the informal way, which is not great for an official document. And they also use the slang word because kiffer is a slang word to means to like. And if I had to find an English equivalent, maybe it would be, we hope you dig it, you dig the meeting.
So it was very familiar and it was like, hey, we hope you dig the meeting.
Yes.
How funny.
And I've got another example. I found it on the internet. This one is really funny too. Maybe a bit vulgar, but so it's about Motorola. In 2008, they launched a new mobile phone, and that phone was named Q. So in English, you had all those slogans like, if it's important for you, it's important for you, Q. In French, the letter Q reads Q. And Q in French has a meaning, it's a word, which means literally ass. So in French, when they translated it, the slogan literally read, if it's important for you, it's important for your ass.
Brilliant.
I think it stayed alive for a few weeks, a few months, maybe. I don't know. I don't remember. But it shows the importance of localization, because even for products names, you have to think about the target culture. And sometimes you have to change the names too.
to make it work. Yeah. Yeah. So are you seeing any new opportunities arising from the disruption? So I have heard about transcreation.
Transcreation is translation with a creative touch. So it might be used for slogans, adverts, for example. Maybe in transcreation, AI can help with alternatives, because when a client asks us to translate, for example, a slogan, they will ask 2 or 3 versions in order to choose the one which they prefer. Yeah, it can be helpful for that.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And is it a tool that you've managed to integrate into your workflow?
No, honestly, I don't use AI because I think a translator needs to use his brain. And so I don't want to heavily rely on a tool. I prefer to find new solutions myself, and that's not something I would use.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. That makes sense. Can you think of any examples where the technology has been a benefit to your clients or to consumers, possibly making multilingual content more available or real time?
Yeah, so for the clients, I can see 2 main benefits, of course. It's saving costs and saving time. And if you use AI to translate internal documents, it might be okay because it's for your company, so that might be okay. But the problem is that when it's cheap, you don't have the quality. So you have to choose between quality and cheap. If you order a cheap translation, if you don't know the language, you can't know if it's all right, if you need to fix some things. So if it's not all right, you might need to hire a translator after that. And as we've seen with Motorola, for example, it can cost a lot of money because if you don't translate a slogan well, or if the name of your product isn't appealing, the customers won't buy it. So you need to, you can lose a lot of money.
I think that's really true. And when I think about the examples where you might want something translated, I can't really think of an industry where they can afford to be sloppy, because, for example, it might be technical. So it might be a document about business or legal terms, or it might be a document. We had another content creator on who did a lot of user interface work. And for that as well, you need to be very specific because you're helping somebody move through a product or move through a process, and you can't get that language wrong or you'll lose them.
Exactly, yes. You need to adapt to the target audience.
So let's talk a little bit about industry insights. How do you think the role of human translators will change in the future?
I think translators will mostly become proofreaders in the future because of MTPE, which is more and more common. Because when you check the offers on the internet, now you don't have lots of real translation jobs. It's more about MTPE, training AI. So,
were you ever tempted to train AI?
No, not really, because I'm very frustrated because it's stealing my job. So I don't want to feed the machine, which is stealing my job. And the fact is that it's not a simple job for me. It's a real passion. So that's why I've decided not to use it.
Yeah. Are your clients now more aware of the dangers of bad translation?
So I hope so. I can give you an example of one of my clients. So he's working in the luxury sector. And before, he sent me a lot of content to translate. So it was slogans, press releases, documents, brochures. And then maybe 2 years ago, he stopped sending me work. So I thought, well, it's a bit strange because now you've got AI. So I guessed that he used AI to have his documents translated. And last year, so I received a document from him, and so it was an MTPE job. It was a very small document, maybe 60 words, and he asked me to check the document. And at first, when I read it, I thought, okay, it's quite fine. But when I checked it, when I compared it to the source document, I realized that I had to change everything. And so I think that the client realized when I sent him my work that he couldn't use AI, especially since he's working in the luxury sector. So you need to be careful about your reputation, your credibility. And so now he's sending me work again. So,
oh, that's good. And I think it really will make those clients stand out because there is a lot of laziness going on. And the client that can be bothered to ensure the quality of their copy is going to stand out from all the others. So it is a tough industry, but there are ways to still get the work. And what changes, if any, have you made to the way you present yourself professionally or the way you present your services to highlight your unique value?
So first of all, I highlight my human expertise. I think it's important to say that translation is not simply to translate words. It's also translating feelings, conveying ideas. It's a bridge between different cultures. So I highlight my human expertise, also confidentiality, because if you use AI, the data you're entering into the AI might be used by other people. It's not private anymore. So you have to think about that too. And consistency too, as I said before, because if you choose a human translator, you will be sure to have consistency throughout your documents, your content. If you choose the AI, that's not the case.
Yeah, definitely. What sort of changes have you seen in the rates for translation jobs?
The rates have dramatically dropped because you're becoming more a proofreader than a translator. You're paid as a proofreader. And so the rates are really low. I know that many translators have decided to leave the industry because they can't live a decent life anymore. As I said, you've got more and more MTPE offers, so you know that you will be paid less, and it's not a valued job. It's because people think that it's easy, it's quick, and which is not the case.
I can imagine. And the translation community, so any associations or groups that represent the freelancers, how have they been helpful in the changing times?
So, you have some associations. I'm a member of two of them. For example, the ATLF, l'Association des Traducteurs Littéraires de France, which in English is the French Literary Translators Association, and the SGDL, la Société des gens de lettres, the French Society of Literati. They're trying hard to help us, but it's not easy because when your government is investing millions in AI, you understand that it's not going to be easy. But for example, they've created some provisions to put in the contract, which says that you can't use AI. So the publisher and the translator can't use AI to translate a book, for example, and that AI can't use the books of the authors without their authorization, their prior authorization. So they're trying to protect our rights, but it's not easy.
In addition to those organisations, is there anything online? It could be groups or podcasts or places where you could get information about the business of translation?
Yeah, you've got some collectives, En Chair et en Os, for example, which is a collective of French translators. and they give information about the trends in the translation industry. They give some advice.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful.
Mediaforte, the marketplace for highly specialised content creators around the world.
A few quick-fire questions. What do your clients always get wrong when approaching translation projects?
Some agencies now are working more like platforms. So it means that they send the same email to a bunch of translators. So it might be 200 translators. And so the first who accepts the job has it. So it's on a first come, first served basis, and you need to be very quick in order to get the job. So it's not fair because you need to check the document before accepting a job. And with those platforms, translators know they need to be quick. So they will accept a job without even viewing all the details.
What's one piece of advice you wish you had when starting your freelance career?
I wish my teachers had given us some advice about finding your first clients, about rates too, because when you begin, they don't talk about rates at university. So you don't really know which rate is good, which isn't. So that would have been really helpful.
What's been your proudest moment so far in your career?
My proudest moment, I think it's when I translated my first book with a publishing house. It was really nice to see my name in the book. So to have the book in my hand after it was published was a real satisfaction.
Oh, that sounds amazing. I can imagine. I think that would be such an accomplishment. It's been really nice talking to you today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much. It was great. Thanks a lot.
Talking with Isabelle made me think more deeply about language and the implications of the changing AI landscape. I think she's a great representative of what a translator can contribute: depth, context, experience, and a real care for the work. We talked about the industry shift towards machine translation post-editing, or MTPE, and the lower rates that it's brought with it. But economics aside, she explained that it's often more work and less satisfying than starting from scratch. And while AI is brilliant at replicating patterns, who wants their communication reduced to patterns? The industry is shifting just as our relationship with language is shifting. Isabelle has embraced that change in her own way, and that is something truly meaningful. Thanks for listening. That's a wrap for this episode of Creator Talks by Mediaforte. If you enjoyed what you heard, please share this episode and leave us a review wherever you get your podcasts. We release new episodes monthly, so hit subscribe so you don't miss a conversation. See you next time. Creator Talks by Mediaforte.